You're listening to another episode of Mr. Allard's Neighborhood. This is the place where you're entitled to Brad's opinion. And now for your host, Brad Allard.
Hello, how are y'all doing today? Another great day. A little cloudy and overcast, which is good.
Nice.
Yes, it is. I have Sarah Carlson with me, and I'll try to pull some opinions out of her as best I can.
I don't have any of those.
No, I hope he'll, I'll have to pull the conversation, along, how it is with her.
Yeah.
How you doing, Taylor?
I am well. Can't complain. How are you?
No, it's a living. It's fine. Things. Summer is a slow time for me. But school starts up in about 6 weeks. And
Are you prepared?
Not really, no. I mean, I usually spend my summers revamping some of my material and seeing if it's still relevant and all this. Particularly,
Don't procrastinate.
Yeah, I've been procrastinating, and so I'm going to start really acting like I'm serious.
It's a good thing.
Yes. But today, Sarah and I are going to talk about what's going on in the community in various aspects. There's a lot going on this summer. Mm-hmm. Do you do all these things you promote?
Not always. There are too many.
Yeah,
There's
but
so
I
many
see,
of
the
them.
library and Russell Farm and all this other stuff. It's like, man, do you ever spend any time at home?
We do. So summers actually at my house, we do a lot of schoolwork. So that's kind of, since we travel in the fall and the spring, we do a lot of schoolwork in the summer and in the middle of winter.
Well, speaking of schoolwork, your boy Gage knocked the top off that AP history test, which is 5 is hard. I mean,
it's phenomenal.
There's some 40 odd tests that the board gives, and the AP US history is one of the hardest to pass, much less make a 5.
Yeah.
Wow, they're going to love him at Baylor. I'm telling you right now.
If only I knew where he was going, that would be nice.
We'll see. I just made your decision for you. Yeah. Well,
works for me. You pay for it. I'll send him.
Are you kidding? He's going to get scholarships.
Yeah, he is. He's already started working on kind of applying and, the
You
whole
want to keep
process.
local, or do you want to send him
I
off
would
to
like
Stanford
for
or
him
something?
to stay local. He actually is looking at online programs for the first 2 years and trying to kind of see. I know it has its own things, but
Well,
I know.
Well, it's all for y'all to decide, but at least you got some options as opposed to, well, I don't know which gas station he's going to rob, to make a living.
He does have some options. So it'll be good.
But let's go ahead and run to the sponsors so we can get to the fun stuff. Well, this is fun, anyway. Thank you, ladies of CrossFit BURLESON. Have you met the new owners yet?
No.
Okay. Do you know they had new owners, right?
Yes, I think I
Because
did
listening
know
to
that.
the show, I hope.
Yes,
Anyway,
I did hear it on the show.
All right. Names
Good
like,
save.
yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, Lexi and Bailey are their names, and they bought it from our friend Daniel about close to 2 months ago now. And they got programs in mind that they want to add, but they also kept the old ones that are very popular and the classes and all the things that you come to love about CrossFit BURLESON. And they're pretty enthusiastic about it. So go give them a shout if you haven't been a member yet. And if you are a member, they're going to have more things for you to do. Also, Shandy, I told you about her helping us sell her daughter's house about 2 weeks ago, and I couldn't do that. I guess I could learn it, but all those details would drive me nuts, and all the little bumps in the road, and I'm like, is this really the normal way? So this is a smooth one compared to others I've been in, and because, we got to wait another day, or we're waiting for this piece of paper, and so-and-so's on vacation. My Lord.
Yeah. It's important to have well-informed
Yes,
realtor. They make a difference.
You really do need to have somebody that knows what they're doing, or else you're going to be in pretty bad shape. Also, Otto, I really admired Otto for what he did last week. Giving his employees that week off. I mean, how many restaurants that do that?
I was a little sad, though, because we went to go on Friday, and we drove up and went, oh, we are not having it today. They're not there.
Well, that happened at my little Sunday school breakfast we have every other Thursday. Is that, we all... we have one guy that kind of organizes. We tell him we're going to be there or not, and we had a table for 8, and he calls it in and says, "No, we're closed." Yep. I don't know if there was a recording or not, but I just thought, dadgum.
I did. I checked on Facebook. I was like, "Oh, look, yep, they're closed until Sunday." So we'll just have to go this week.
Well, that's and I'll be there this week, and I just admire that because that's why he has so little turnover in his staff. Also,
treats them right.
Yes, and also I'm sharing it with your municipal matters, so you can look forward to that. Yeah, okay. Also, Wild Cigar over at Standard. Chris got specials going on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays rather. They have happy hour, and they also have drink specials, cigar specials, and whatnot. And I was over there about 10 days ago, and during the day, and there are people there. People think it'd be empty. I don't know. There's several people there working, having a smoke and a drink or whatever, and they have a conference room that they can use and things like that. So there's things going on. It opens at 10.
Oh, wow.
And a lot of people think a bar would open up like at 4 or something like that. No, they're open at 10.
Cool. Lots of options.
Well, for the humidor primarily, but also maybe for stop by for a little fortification during lunch. Anyway, thank you, Chris. Thank you, Tiffany. She's busier. I see her on Facebook. She's going here. She's going there. She's traveling. She goes to the Ranger games, all this other stuff, but she still gets the magazine out on time. And it's always a great magazine. 30,000 homes get it. I see it at several locations, several businesses. So even if you just stumble across one at one of these locations, and you can see all the various ads and whatnot. So Local Life magazine, it's at also locallifetx.com if you want to see something more current. Also, Southern Gym is finally down on the first floor.
They moved. Yay.
Yeah.
I wondered.
Well, Robin said it really, really is nice. I need to go by there, but a lot of people are going by there like sightseers, tourists, and so I don't want to add to the crowd, but they opened up last Monday on that bottom floor, and it's about 3 times their space, and it's very, very nice. It's similar in decor, but it's more roomy. So next time you take William,
I actually have to get William's ring sized. His wedding ring is too small, so I have to but I kept waiting for them to move because I was like, I don't know where to find them yet. So I was waiting for them to.
Well, they have a place to park the husbands when the ladies come shopping. Yeah, well, it is. It's very, I think that's very astute of her.
That is smart.
All right. And also our friends over at Old Pro, John Williams, 817-734-2756. Did you get a lot of hail damage?
We did.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Our cars are, we have to get our cars fixed. We have to get the roof fixed. We have to do all the whole, we didn't fix it after the tornado last, whatever, but so now we need to do it now.
Yeah. Well, he came out and checked my roof and it said it was good to go, but I know that was also talking to a friend that lives on the west side of Burleson yesterday, and they said they got hammered.
Yeah, everybody in my neighborhood got new roofs last after that tornado thing. And so I think everybody that's had them checked since then, they said they were fine after that last big hailstorm, but ours still needs it.
Well, I hope Old Pro was the ones doing it because they do a great job and they show up and they're local Burleson folks. So call John and he'll come out and check your roof out. Also, Texas Farm Bureau. I've had several people on the show that are Texas Farm Bureau customers, and I really love them because they don't give them all this hassle about insurance. Have you had to go through hassle into your insurance?
No, we haven't. I don't even know who we use. Donuts. That's William's job.
Lord have mercy.
I know.
Well, anyway, if you ever want to have William take his insurance over to be checked by Melissa, she'll do it and see if she can save you some money. If she can't, she'll tell you. So call her at 682-804-0534. I had a pretty good insurance company. I wasn't unhappy with it. And she said, just let me check it. And she did save us some money, and she did it up our insurance on the house. So there you go. And they have also our friends Lisa and Morris Smith, Stop Restoration, where they get it right the first time. She has us well trained with that. She's a BNI member, as is the previous 3 people I've talked about. We have a little BNI group here. If you have some sort of damage from storms, water damage, fire damage, biohazards, which can be any number of things. And what I was told, is that I was thinking when I first got them on as a sponsor that they were like damage control or, after a catastrophic event. She said, no, a lot of our stuff is that people didn't even know they had a problem. They had leaky water somewhere in the hot water heater or the washing machine, and it caused all this mold damage. And they get a lot of that.
I've seen a few of those lately.
Yes.
On Facebook.
Mold in Texas is pretty common, but you have to be able to be certified to check for it, treat it, whatever else. It isn't just like something you can do on your own. And so she and Morris have certifications in mold remediation, and it's always a good thing. Also this weekend, there's a kickoff at the Harvest House for the Little Red Schoolhouse. Jennifer was going to be on this Thursday, and her father died.
Oh, no.
And so she's going to be in Alaska for the next few days. And so we'll probably have to see her next month after all that's done, because you know how it goes, all the hassle, not the hassle, that's not a good way of putting it, but it's a lot of work, a lot of things to pay attention to.
Cumbersome, yeah.
Yeah, and so Thursday I got another show, another type. But anyway, so Little Red Schoolhouse starts out this weekend, and it's always a big deal. That's been going on as long as I've been here.
I've always wondered about that one, like Little Red Schoolhouse sitting out in the sun and people putting crayons in there.
Well,
I always wonder how those fare in the Texas heat. I don't know. It's always...
Well, it's similar to what Sherry Scott does with those blessing boxes.
Yeah.
You have to
You should not put canned foods in those blessing boxes in the summertime.
Yeah, you just
because botulism is bad,
and it's going to be damaged. And so, so if you do the blessing boxes routine, usually boxed stuff does better.
Yes, boxed packaged things.
Yes,
just not cans. So,
anyway, I guess we should talk about what's going on in the city council. It really this summer's been pretty quiet, which is nice.
It has, but it's been quiet, but there's a lot going on.
Well, there's a lot going on, but it's more your typical routine as opposed to drama normal. And all this other crap we had to deal with the last 2-3 years.
It is a bit calmer, yes, than it has been the last 3 years. Especially this last meeting, we had everybody. We had a full slate of council members up there, which is good. We have a new city manager as of last night.
I haven't met him. I assume he'll be fine. I'm sure it was a unanimous vote.
Yep, it was a unanimous vote. And so it's kind of funny the way that happened. At the last June meeting, the last regular June meeting, they had a very long executive session, hours, 2-3 hour long executive session. And they came back from that executive session and the video had been turned off. They were done videoing it because usually they do executive session last and then they come back and they say motion to adjourn, approved, done, and they're out. And that's it. Well, this time, as a result of executive session, Adam Russell made the motion to enter contract negotiations with Tommy Ludwig for the permanent city manager position. So that wasn't on the video. So if you're watching, if you're like me and you catch it on the replay or on the live stream, you didn't see that happen, but it happened. And so this meeting last night, it was on consent to approve his contract and they did. And so now we have a new permanent city manager.
Well, when I talked to Ronnie about 2 months ago when he was campaigning for mayor, he talked about, hiring a headhunter firm, but apparently Ronnie must have thought that this guy was
well,
good
and
enough.
That was one option. Going that route and really having a bunch of candidates come in and clearing them all out was one thing that they had considered. But there's been a lot of changes at City Hall over the last couple of years. We've had a lot of directors change and this and that. And Tommy, having been the deputy city manager for the last 2 years, he's already kind of built relationships with the directors. He works well with the city staff that we have in place. He works well with the council. He has those 2 years of experience that really, I think, is a benefit, and I think will be good for Burleson. And it's not just that. He's also a great candidate. He was also really strong, really smart, really good at what he does, and so. It didn't feel like a compromise to have to go with Tommy instead of the headhunter. He really is.
I'm a big proponent of hiring from within and promoting from within because that's how you get people come to work for you if they feel like they have an opportunity to move up the chain a little bit and not be, bypassed by some outsider. Yeah. And plus, the speculation was that the previous manager, whom is often, I think, in Kyle, actually, Texas.
And Kyle,
may have been in part responsible for some of the turnover. And that Ludwig probably would be able to kind of maybe calm those waters a bit. Yeah,
possibly. I don't know a whole lot about his management style, the previous one's management style, to say what the cause of the turnover was. There were so many changes going on that, we could point to 7 different things and say, well, maybe it was this or maybe it was that or whatever. But, and I don't know that any of them you'd be able to prove 100%. So,
well, that was just, like I said, it was just talk. I've had it, people think I know what's going on because I do this little modest podcast, but I don't know much more.
He did have very high expectations and very high standards, and there was a lot of turnover. And if that's it, I don't know. I'm not sure, but maybe.
Well, when I need to know what's going on, I look at Municipal Matters page actually. What's going on? But I was really also I kind of jumped in on just for a few minutes to watch it. And it's kind of. Typical boring stuff.
Yeah, last night's was like a normal city council meeting.
Yeah, and I'll say it if you won't. I think because the personnel has changed on that city council, and we're not going to be getting involved in personal dramas and hair
the dynamic is definitely different, and I think this council will work together really well. I think that they won't agree on everything, and they shouldn't. I mean, we have 7 of them because we want different opinions and we want different. Different positions on issues, but I think that they'll be able to come together a little more easily.
Well, the 3 additions we have from the last election really, I think, put it on the right track. Larry is no nonsense. Adam's no nonsense. Phil knows everybody in town and knows. Well, and Phil would know what the people of this community are talking about and saying.
Yeah.
So those are very good assets for the council.
Well, and really, if we're looking at it, Phil knows everybody, talks to everybody. He's really got a good grasp on representing people in that way. And Larry, just in the last few meetings, kind of watching. It's always interesting when we get new council members just to see, how's this going to go? What style of leadership do they have? Or Larry is very much about details and very much about research. And you can tell he has put the time into, going back into years in the past and the history of these issues that are coming up. And, last night, even he was talking about studies from years ago about the fire department and, things like that. So you can tell he's really getting into those details, which is awesome. I think that's really great. And then Adam, we haven't had someone in finance on council in many years.
20 years.
Yeah, it's been a long time since we've had someone with finance background, and I think that's going to be incredible. I think that, especially right now with everything going on, debt-wise and finance-wise and budget, I think that his expertise is going to be.
And of course, you and I were very supportive of Ronnie in his mayor's race. So seeing him back on the council, at least in the interim basis, is a good thing.
Yeah.
And because we know him and we support him personally, but the experience is helpful.
Yeah. And then that really, I like Ronnie and I support him personally, but really when we're talking about the dynamics of council and that position being open, I know from conversations with council members that I had that it was important to them to get someone with experience in that seat because it's only from now until May. It's in kind of the lead up to budget season. So we don't need to be training someone new on how to do all this municipal stuff. We want someone who already knows. Well, that only gives us like a handful of options, really. People who have been council members before. We had maybe Rick Green or, anybody who had been on council and already knows all those details. But then you have to find somebody who's willing, which gives you an even smaller pool of people. And so I think it was a good choice.
And the alternative was Todd Hurley, which also is a great choice. And so, and he serves the city already on the P&Z board, but so we had good options and we're fortunate, to have good options. Yeah, and, but I also like the fact that Ronnie's going to be there and as an interim. So had they put somebody else in there, it could be seen as we're setting this guy up to be reelected as the incumbent.
If it was someone who might have wanted to continue in that seat, it could have been considered a little political or as a way to give them kind of a leg up in the election because an incumbent does have a little bit of an advantage.
Big advantage. Name advantage, the whole thing. Fundraising advantage.
I think it'll be good that, in May, we'll have a new election. We'll have seat 1, seat 3, and seat 5. So that's going to be Victoria. And seat 3, so right now is Ronnie, and then seat 5 is Dan. So we'll have that May of next year.
Well, I have Victoria on next Monday, and she'll explain her goals. I know she wants to run again, which is not a surprise to anybody, and I think she's done fantastic, really, because she really knows the stuff.
Well, and did you see that announcement about her being elected the secretary-treasurer? Is it secretary-treasurer or treasurer-secretary?
No, it's secretary-treasurer.
Yeah, whichever one that is of the COG.
Yeah, for
that's
the
huge.
Council of Governments, it is a big deal. That's a great representation to have for our community.
And especially, this is her first year on the COG to be nominated by other members of the COG to that position.
Did y'all graduate the same year?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So you knew her in high school too. Yep. And, and I, as a teacher, I saw her. This is exactly what I saw her doing with her life, not just being a mom and a wife, which she is obviously, but involved in these kind of things. And she's done fantastic.
She's made for it. She is doing what she is made for, 100%.
I don't know if Mr. McClendon is formally announced, but I'm going to make an assumption that he'll probably run again.
I would assume that he would.
But it'll be up to him. I'm trying to get him on the show, and it's really more my.
Well, it may be a little bit because I think he's headed to Hawaii today.
Yeah, well, I know. Well, it's some of that, and also just like, oh yeah, I need to do this. I need to contact him.
Yeah.
And then a week goes by.
Yeah. It's like still haven't done it yet.
Well, just I got to. Every day when I do this thing, people think I just show up and talk, but sometimes I do. But but it is a daily thing trying to keep it going. I do spend about an hour and a half a day on this, either social media stuff, trying to get guests, trying to be informed, blah, blah, blah. Some days are longer than others, but I just need sometimes like, I need to email the fella. And
you need an assistant. You need like a...
Oh, well, it's funny you say that. Robin may do that part-time, and that way,
nice.
For tax purposes, I can pay her and that kind of thing, but we'll see.
She'd be great at it.
Yeah, well, she's a lot more organized than I am. But here's the thing also. Yesterday I had Alex on, and you participated. Alex Phillips, our economic director, and, we had a lot to talk about. One thing I've lately been very interested is that space that used to be the Methodist Church where I taught at Hill for all those years. Mm-hmm. You tell me that they actually have some artist renderings.
Well, so this was a while back. I think this was part of a proposal that they made to 4B. And that proposal ultimately didn't get approved. They weren't not council, that 4B board wanted to see different things than what they saw. And so it wasn't approved, but there have been proposals with some renderings and with some, and renderings are always tricky because they'll show you a picture, but by the time you get down to really doing it, it's a lot different.
Well, yeah, like Maine on Depot, perhaps.
Yes, like that one had it went through a lot of changes. Their initial rendering was really, really cool, and I'm sure it'll be cool when it's finished. But
I would have liked to have seen some retail at that bottom level, and so would the council members. But that's what happens. But back to the space. What did you see in it?
Well, so the picture that I saw from that meeting had kind of a pass-through on the bottom floor where they had retail or restaurant on the bottom, and then kind of gathering space in the center where, you could sit out on tables or patios or, whatever. And then the top had like office space or open space for either retail or office workers or, things like that. And I thought it looked incredible from the drawing that was proposed. Now, again, it didn't get approved, so there's no telling what it actually will be, but...
Well, Victoria, in the last show, I asked her about this, is before they actually started knocking it down. She wanted something similar to that, where it's a public gathering space. She's really all about those kind of things.
Yeah.
Parks is her thing, but I mentioned yesterday about lofts, and somebody jumped in and said, "Did flip out?" You remember,
That's me. I said that. If you start talking about putting multifamily housing of any type anywhere in Old Town, you're gonna hear about it.
So homeless shelter's out.
Oh yeah, probably not.
Okay,
That's probably not what they're gonna want.
Yeah, but that's going to be very valuable space. Also, Alex mentioned they're going to knock down the old police station, and I thought and put parking. I said, "Oh, I don't want that space to be shitty parking."
I am so glad that y'all talked about that because I really thought all of it was going to be parking. I thought the whole
so did I.
The whole section was parking.
I thought that's not what I want
but
on
I'm
that
glad
corner.
to hear that it's not just parking.
There's going to be a pad there for some businesses there.
Good.
And so that'll be helpful. Because a lot of people look at the parking area as a real problem in Old Town.
Well, especially like on Saturdays when the farmers market's there or those plaza events, Hot Sounds of Summer or anything really that happens at the plaza, that parking gets taken up so quickly that,
And the fact that my church, First Baptist, is going to have parking, I don't know if we're going to get paid for it or not, but, we'll use the money for good and holy purposes. I assure you, if you are. Yeah, it's the city's paying a tithe. I don't know.
But it's really nice.
But it's a 30-year lease, so that's I'm just saying, wow, they must really have some long-term goals. But now that property right there on the corner of Renfro and Johnson, I thought, man, that's prime time. Prime. And then so when I heard it was going to be a parking lot, that's why I asked Alex that question. Surely, you're not going to put parking in that kind of location. So I'm glad they're having a business there. And as far as what's going on at the Methodist Church, or the old Methodist Church, that spot, you drive down Renfro, and for 30 years I've seen it, and now it's like, wait, something's missing.
Yeah, it does. We happened to drive by when they were taking the sanctuary down. So they had like half of it, and you could see kind of the big machine, and you could see into the church, and it was just a little eerie, just a little bit strange, because we went there. William and I went there when we first met. We went there for many years.
Well, I saw a couple of weddings in there, and it's like, of course, I taught there since 2004 is when they were doing night classes at Hill at Burleson High School at night, and then when the city bought that property and Hill College used it, I was teaching there ever since. And now, of course, we got that new space over at the early college high school, and it's a lot nicer.
I'm actually going there tomorrow.
Really,
Yeah, to
what?
see if Gage, to see what what classes Gage can take as dual enrollment next year from there. Because I know he has some with Hill that he can do dual enrollment, but I want to go talk to him in person. And
see. The thing about, this is off the topic a little bit, but the thing about it is Hill is meant for the type of student that maybe Gage is not.
Yeah.
All right, let me put it that way. Most of my students, a lot of them are working people.
Yeah.
And so I don't really have the ability or the desire to grind them down with pop quizzes and
and
little
that's kind of what he's looking for, though, for his government and economics credit. He wants kind of an easy way to get the college credit without.
Well,
yeah. And so he felt like that would be
I have
an
a class
for
at
him.
noon at Mondays and Wednesdays this fall.
There you go. We'll just plug him right in.
Yeah. Well, but again, though the day classes are different than the night classes. The day classes are more like Gage's age group and type of student. The night classes, I have working people, and I had some of them, those working people, like in their 30s and 40s. All right, and so it's a different environment, and which do I like better? I actually, I like having older students because I could say Ronald Reagan, and they go,
they remember.
I was a kid at least when he was president or something, or at least I remember. And these other, high school age kids are like, what?
Just give me the information and then give me the test.
Now, but I admire the Hill students a lot because a lot of them I deal with are family people or working people, and going to school ain't easy.
That's tough.
I know
balance all that.
It really is. And so I admire them a lot. And then my DBU kids are your more typical college kids. And I'm very fond of DBU. I really am. They treat me fine. They treat me well, but they also are very set up to support students in whatever status they're in,
That's good.
Not just learning accommodations, but, we have a lot of foreign students, for example. We have a large number from South America. That surprised me. Yeah, Colombia sends a bunch. We also have a fairly decent number from like Southern Asia, Indian, Pakistani. Yeah. And, you think, why are they Dallas Baptist? Well, because, a lot of them are going back to be evangelists in their own countries. And that's sometimes not as easy as it sounds.
That's, a lot harder there than here, for sure.
Anyway, I got off the track a little bit. Yep. But anyway, so that I'd be interested to see what they come up with on that spot. But there's also some other things that I was really excited about. We're talking with Alex, who's about some of the plans for Old Town still. That's just going to continue to build.
I'm so excited about Razu's opening. August 1st, right? That'll be so good.
I've never eaten at a Razu's before. I know they one downtown Fort Worth, but I've never eaten
that one at Hewlin. We used to go when we were in high school.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, okay.
It's fun.
Well, at high school.
I haven't been it was 20 years ago.
Yeah, right.
So it was a while back.
But it's interesting. It's also to me interesting is those people that own the homes in Old Town. I bet they're getting a lot of offers for their property.
Yeah. The prices are going up for there for sure.
I looked at one about 2 years ago and I was like, you got to be kidding.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a nice little house certainly, but it was.
It's really the land.
They knew where the value was. Yeah,
that's true.
But
it's cute little houses back there too.
How long have you lived in Burleson? I know you were a graduate here, but did you move here as a young girl?
So I was born in Oklahoma, but then we moved here.
Where in Oklahoma?
Ponca City.
Ponca City.
I think I was 6 weeks old when we moved to Joshua. Mm-hmm. And then we lived in Joshua until I was in 3rd grade. And then we moved to Burleson, which the place that I lived in Joshua, it's now Burleson.
Yeah.
So it's now inside Burleson city limits. But and then I've been here ever since.
So I'm reminisced with Alex, who graduated, I think, at 96. And you graduated in 02.
02.
William was 99.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, we've seen this town change dramatically. And one thing I've noticed a lot of change isn't just in the businesses, but also the activities. And that's where you come in to play.
Oh, my goodness. We have so many activities.
I mean, I guess I wasn't paying attention, but I had small children, but I don't remember all this. I remember swimming lessons at the Brick, and I remember they had soccer lessons.
They had the community center, which was, back there at Chisenhall, which is Chisenhall now. That used to have, the community center where they had gymnastics and the pool.
And they played basketball there. Yeah, and and all that. But it was like,
there's a few people. It wasn't like it is now.
No.
Like these programs, the library programs, they're having to do some of them at the senior center because their room at the library is too small
Yeah.
They need more space. And so
on that topic, do you have any idea if they're going to expand the library?
So
physically?
they did a presentation when they presented Chisholm Summit. They talked about when we would need to expand the library. I don't know that it had a year. It wasn't, I mean, they know that they will have to expand the library at some point. The way that they do that and the timing of doing that, I don't know if that's anywhere in, if anyone knows what that timing looks like just yet, but it will have to be expanded.
And I was talking with Shandy, her son works there, and they came over for dinner, and her son and I, Griffin, talked about what's going on in the library, and they talked about all these neat things that they do now that 20 years ago, it isn't just a collection of books.
No, oh my goodness. Our library is incredible. They have a library of things where you can check out, you can check out a tent. You can check out, yes, there are things like they have baking kits where you can check out pans and a cookbook, and like they have it all together.
That's interesting. That's not your typical library, is it?
It isn't. And they have like STEM kits, which are, the science, technology, engineering things for kids to really play with actual things. So it's really, really awesome. And something that we use a lot, Hoopla and Cloud Library, you can access books on iPad or phone. My kids are always reading on Hoopla or Cloud Library because
is that similar to like Kindle and stuff like that?
Similar.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, similar to that. And you don't have to pay. You get to use now Hoopla. You're limited to 7 books a month, but Cloud Library, there's not a limit. You could just yeah, and it's really, really cool.
And then they do activities with art. They did something at Valentine's, which got some people stirred up. And then they do. I think they did something for 4th of July. They do.
They have themed story times for the kids, themed craft days for the kids. Their teen programs are really incredible. They had an awesome turnout for the Shrinky Dink. They made Shrinky Dinks with the teenagers, and they had a picture, and that room was so full of teenagers, and that's. Reaching that crowd as a library is not easy. So
I mean, when I was a kid, I went to the library, because
Gage would go to the library, but he wants to sit there and read in silence. Yeah, that's what he wants to do.
Well, I mean, this back in the 70s, and so the library's near our house, and I'd ride my bike over there or whatever else, and also they had a lot of stuff where I could do my homework with, research books and whatnot. But it's like I think a lot of people don't realize just what this community offers, and a lot of communities don't have that.
Well, and our library really is a hub of community. Like it's not just a room of books. It is a place where they have classes for seniors who want to learn about technology. They offer those classes regularly. They have classes about insurance, learning about health insurance and life insurance.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
Useful.
they have all sorts of really useful seminars. And we went to a writing convention where they had a lot of writers come in, and Gage loved learning from writers, local writers.
Wow.
They just have so many great things that, that build community and that really fosters connection.
And another outfit that you are highly supportive of is Russell Art Farm.
Yes, I love Russell. It's probably my favorite spot in all of Burleson.
Well, it's like a little peace oasis,
Yes.
A little quiet there.
Yes, it really. And my boys did the Russell Farm camp in June. They went and did that, and it's so fun. It's just they have great programs.
Well, and they have art all the time, and I know they have, like you said, a lot of stuff for kids, but they also have stuff for seniors, and on and on and on.
Every Saturday they have a sketch group that meets up. I think it's at 9 a.m. Time may be off, but every Saturday they just get together and sketch.
What some people don't realize about Russell Art Farm is that you don't have to go for some event. You can just go there just to walk the grounds.
Yeah. I take the boys when the weather's nice. We'll go in the mornings just to let them climb trees. Or just to let them sit under trees, or just to let them run.
Burn off a little juice.
Yes, exactly. And they prefer that natural space to like a playground. Like playgrounds they're a little too old for playgrounds, but they love.
You're never too old for playgrounds.
They will play a little bit.
No, I think Gage would be trying to figure out the torque on the or the engineering behind the swing or whatever. But that. Again, that's something a lot of communities don't have, and I think sometimes we lose focus on that because it distracted by other junk going on in town. And
they actually have a watermelon day at Russell Farm, July 27th.
I'm the only person I know that is not particularly crazy about watermelon.
I'm not fond of it either. No, I don't love it either. My kids like it.
I'll eat it, but it's just not my
I don't like
go-to.
watermelon or popcorn. Those are my two weird
Now that's
foods
weird.
I don't like.
That's weird. Okay, popcorn.
It's too much work.
To put it in the microwave?
You get it all stuck in your teeth, and I don't like it.
Jeez Louise.
It's not worth it.
Or Jiffy Pop, you put it on the stove top and let it rip.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever. But, what else is going on? I know the fire department does a lot of stuff. And,
so we have, the library has, let me just tell you.
Okay.
July 17th, they have Armadillo Story Time. And they have a special guest with Andy Armadillo.
Andy Armadillo.
And I wasn't sure if this was an actual armadillo, because sometimes they have the creature teacher that comes that brings actual animals. Yeah, the creature teacher actually is coming tomorrow.
Oh.
Tomorrow they have a creature teacher, 9 to 9:45. So, but this is not an actual armadillo. It's a character. So I read it this morning. So it was a character.
So he's going to read him a story in an armadillo outfit?
Armadillo story time. And then that same day, they have Young Builders Club in the evening from 4 to 5:30, which they're going to play with snap circuits and spheros. So,
what?
Yeah. So snap circuits, you know what those are, right? No.
For our audience members who may not know.
Snap circuits are kind of an educational tool that teaches kids about electronics and circuitry and that kind of stuff.
Oh, yes, of course.
My boys love snap circuits.
No doubt.
And then spheros, I actually don't know. I know that they're round things that are kind of robotic and you program how they travel somewhat. In fact, I think I'm taking my boys to this one because I want to figure out what spheros are. But anyway, that's best suited for ages 5 to 12. And that's July 17th. They have, July 24th through the 28th is Harry Potter week. My kids love Harry Potter.
Really?
So,
I've never seen a moment of a Harry Potter movie. My kids really weren't into it. Yeah, well, Robin was absolutely not into it, but she had issues with Harry Potter. But
I've only watched the first two. They get a little too stressful for me as they go on. It's kind of like, okay.
Yeah, well, I haven't seen a moment. I'm probably one of the very few people that have not watched an iota of those movies. Taylor, have you watched all the Harry Potter movies?
I haven't. I've seen one, but I fell asleep in it. So I fell asleep in Lord of the Rings also, though.
That's not right. Oh, come on.
I need to sleep more.
Yeah, really.
Maybe I do, honestly.
We're working you too hard if you fall asleep during Lord of the Rings.
I've never seen that one or read it.
You run into these kind of
Star
people.
Wars either.
Good heavens, girl.
I know. It's bad. It's real bad.
Star Trek?
Oh, we used to watch that one. My dad liked that one. When I was a kid, so I didn't
Iron
watch that
Man?
one. No.
He's the best hero ever.
I know. I'm not a big movie person.
What about your kids? Did they see these things or you keep them from them?
So Gage and William watched Star Wars when he was younger, and he really loves Star Wars. I am just not, I don't know. And I'm not interested.
Well, you're too busy, preparing great meals and lessons.
The lessons, yes, lesson plans. Meals, no.
Okay.
I don't do that.
Well, anyway, back to the library.
Okay, back to the library. So let's see. This week, they also have the Teen Anime Club. That's another thing. Like the way they get the teens in, they really know what they like. They just really, they know how to program for teens. So 3 p.m., ages 10 and up.
10 and up. So Taylor, you can go.
Teen Anime Club. Actually,
I'll see you
I
there.
don't think that you can because I think these teen programs, they don't let you in if you're over 16.
Oh,
I think it's 10 to 16. So to keep the kids
Allard.
safe, they really
anime.
do.
I don't. Is these Japanese cartoons?
Yeah.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
But that's for the younger
Kids
crowd.
like it. They like it, man. And then there's a sidewalk chalk contest, July 15th from 9:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. There are 2 age groups, ages 10 and up, and then 18 and up. So you can go do your sidewalk chalk at the library, and then they will pick winners of art.
Boy, they're really busy.
Yeah. Yeah. They have
I'll give somebody $5 if they do the Mr. Allard's Neighborhood logo.
Ooh,
There you go.
that'd be fun.
Yeah. Yeah, that yeah.
That'd be fun. That could be, we could partner up with like local businesses and like get people to see which logo is the best. So then July 18th, they have a music demonstration by Tarpley Music. They bring instruments and kind of teach the kids about, different instruments.
I've been trying to get the director of the library on this show, and she's like, I'd like to do
They're
it, but
so busy.
Right. Yeah, I mean,
and this is why they have.
she'd love to do what she says, but It's like, okay, I'd say, well, how about this month? Oh, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
Blah, 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 blah.
You'd have to add some hours to the day.
Or how about 2 months from now? Same thing, you know. I'd have to probably schedule it like 3 or 4 months out.
You probably have to meet her at the library.
Well,
like do the show from the library because they are just so busy. Oh, here's the one that you should go to, Taylor. Craft Tea. It's on July 21st. They're going to make tea. It's ages 14 and up. They're going to make tea and fairy gardens.
Oh,
You're going to go make a fairy garden.
yes.
Oh my!
I'm not exactly sure how you make a fairy garden, but
I'm
it
not even
sounds
sure
really
what a fairy
interesting.
garden is.
Neither am I, but it's fine.
It sounds interesting.
It does.
I can't wait to see the pictures from that one. You know, they always post pictures on the library page after these events, and so it's really fun to watch and see how those events go.
Good grief!
I know.
Well, you had a whole list of things there.
Yeah.
Is there other stuff besides the library?
So we have Parks and Rec. The coolest thing I think that they have going right now is the Brick Boatnanza. Have you seen that?
No.
Oh, okay. So it's a cardboard boat race.
Oh, okay. I heard about that, but I didn't know the name. I guess I should have put
Brick
together.
Bonanza cardboard boat race
together. Yeah.
from 9 a.m. to 12 on July 22nd. You do have to register for that one, and you have to pay $5 to pre-register and $10 to register on site. And they have 2 different age groups, ages 6 to 13 and ages 14 and up. And there's going to be games and awards and prizes. They have one award for the fastest sinking boat, which I feel like I could probably win because, so you get to make your own boat and see how far it goes.
I could see Gage designing a boat.
Yeah.
And probably it'll be floating a year from now because he was not going to let it sink.
Well, what's really funny is my youngest is very engineer minded. Like he loves to build things all the time. And so I told him about that one and he was already like the wheels were turning. But he doesn't love water. He's not a strong swimmer. So that part was kind of you have to get in the boat and paddle it. And so he was kind of like, I don't know if I want to do that.
So we're talking not like model boats. We're
talking about they're going to put it in the pool and you're going to be in it.
It has to be big enough for you to sit in it.
And you have to have oars made of cardboard to paddle
what's going to happen. They'll get soggy wet. And then,
you have to tape it. You have to use duct tape to make them waterproof. And you have to, it's all the things. But I think that'll be so exciting to watch. I kind of just want to go just to see how it goes.
I've been in the Brick a handful of times for various things. I live outside the city, so I'm not a member, which probably it should be. It cost me what to be a member?
Oh, I don't know.
It used to be $20.
It's not much.
No, it used to be $20. I don't know what it is now. But I'm very impressed with that building. It really is. It's very nice.
Yeah. And they have a lot of great programs.
And then you got that water park that just opened up. And I was talking with Jen Basham about this about 6 weeks ago, and she's all excited. She's a lot of energy. And that splash pad. When my kids were younger, we used to drive to North Richland Hills.
In our H2O.
Yes, and because my nephews and my sister-in-law lived pretty close to that. And I thought, I wish we had something like this in Burleson. It was really nice. I wish we had this in Burleson. And now, about 15 years, 20 years later, here it is.
Yep.
And it's when I've driven by it a couple times, it looked like it's fully used. A lot of people are there, of course, with weather like this.
Yeah.
But that's a great thing.
It is.
And so.
Cool.
back in the day when I first started getting involved in Burleson stuff, it was like church league softball they'd put on, and
these programs are so. The other one at the Brick that's really interesting is let me find the right name of it. Oh, maybe it's on this other page. Oh, Splish Splash Doggy Bash. So you pay $5.
Say that 10 times fast.
Right? Yeah, $5 per dog, and they can swim in the outdoor pool at the Brick for that day. I don't have dogs. I don't have pets because keeping my children alive is enough. I don't need any more living things. But for those for those with dogs who enjoy swimming, if you don't have a pool, you can take them to swim at the Brick pool.
I had a dog,
for a day.
Unfortunately, about this time 2 years ago, we had to put her to sleep, and it's sad. It really is. Yeah. But now when we have 2 cats in the house, since our daughter's living with us now, and we have 2 cats. I'm slowly adjusting to having cats in the house, but I'm not like, oh boy, I love cats. I'd like to have 6. Our furniture be in shreds. But is the fire department doing anything?
I don't know. I don't have any events for the fire
just
department.
had one, though, didn't they?
Yeah, we are getting a new fire truck. So they talked about that last night at the meeting. They'll have a push-in ceremony in September for a new ladder truck that will be coming in August, and then we'll do a special ceremony in September.
You know, we kind of skipped over this on city council business. There's a lot of confusion about the fire department. You know, I don't know. Are we getting 10 new fire stations or what?
So we had it was at last week's special meeting. They did reports and presentation, and the fire department did a presentation where Fitch and Associates, which is, you know, they bring them in to analyze all the data and to kind of tell them what they
like
should
demographics
do from,
and whatnot.
Yes, it was a very technical presentation. It was. I mean, I had it on. So the meeting started at 9:00. I have it kind of playing on my computer while I'm doing school with the kids. And when I came back from doing grammar with the kids, they're talking about 10 fire stations. And I was like, oh gosh, what? Because right now we have 3. And in our last bond, we approved the 4th one. So I was kind of thinking, how are we already talking about 10? What is this? So when I went back and watched it again, what it is, NFPA 1710. Is what they're referencing in this presentation. So Fitch and Associates, they're hired to study all of everything. They were talking about vacancy overtime. And I mean, the acronyms in this presentation were insane. It was alphabet soup to the max. So, but anyway, they talk about NFPA 1710. It's an elective standard that addresses the structure and operations of professional fire departments. So from what I'm gathering, what I understood at the presentation, it's kind of similar to like TEKS and educational standards where we make these standards, but we know we won't get every child to 100% every time. That's kind of what this standard is like. And this standard says that they want 90% of calls to have a response time of 4 minutes.
That's kind of hard to do with our geography of our city limits, like we were talking about before the show.
Yes, and so with that, if that's our standard, if Burleson said we have to get our operations to the point that we can get anywhere in the city within 4 minutes, if we were going to do that, it would take 10 fire stations. We would have to have 10 different stations throughout the city to have that.
That's a little expense.
Yeah, and so even council was kind of like, why are we including this standard? You know, do we need to try to meet this standard?
Right. That's my next question. Is there a penalty if we don't meet the standard?
Yeah. So where we're at right now, I think they said 90% of our calls are within 7 minutes, which, okay. And then 50% of our calls are within that standard, that 4 minutes. So the council was kind of like, why did we include this standard? You know, who else is meeting it? What percentage of cities are meeting this standard? And what KT Freeman said, fire chief said, was, I don't know of any that actually meet the standard.
How could they? I mean,
right. Well, I mean, if you have a square city and you can put one fire station in the middle and then reach any point by the same amount of time, that might work. But the way our city is structured, we kind of have, you know, we have a city center where we have a little bit around city center, but then we have kind of arms that go off down 174 and down 35 that if you're way over here, and they didn't talk about this in the fire presentation, they really talked about it in the police. You know, if you're over on the 174 side and you have to get to 35, there's not really a straight line to get there.
Try and go down Wilshire. Good look at that.
So that really affects our response times in a way that we can't. I mean, we didn't set the boundary of the city with response times for public safety in mind. That's not how that happens, right? We just add pieces into the city and then we have to serve them. So our structure is what makes that response time difficult to attain. And also, it's not something that's required of us. You know, it's just like in the educational world. We have TEKS and they say, reach these.
Well, there is a penalty in a sense if we don't reach the TEKS, but because it is mandated by the state, but this is not, it sounds like.
No, and this one, it's not mandated. There are some, and Freeman talked about some last night, that there are some that you have to meet. It is a law. You have to have this many he called it a writ. I need to look into what that really is, but it has to do with the way you respond and how many officers and what their job is at the thing. And so that is a law that you have to follow. But this NFPA 1710 is more, and Dan McClendon asked, he was like, why'd you include this in this presentation? Like, if this is not a must have or cities don't reach this, why are we being shown it? And why are we trying? Why are we talking about it? Why is it here? And Chief Freeman explained, we may not reach them 100%. We may not hit all of them 100%, but it is good to know what we should be striving for, what we are, and where we can improve, because maybe last year we didn't get this far and this year we've improved this much. We were able to increase our technology, increase, other things that will help us improve these times as we strive for the standards that they set.
Well, I didn't really think that we're going to be building 10 fire stations. No. I thought, is this a goal maybe by 2060 or something like that?
It's just a standard that they want people to have a 4-minute response time 90% of the time. And we are at a 4-minute response time 50% of the time. And then we're at a 7-minute response time 90% of the time.
Well, and that's like I've talked with Shandy before. One of the reasons we're growing so much is because we do provide these kind of services.
We have outstanding fire and police.
Yes. And also we have good schools and we have a growing business. And so even if the economy is slowing down in other parts of the country, we're still doing just fine. And a lot of that is because of the quality of the services we provide. And also the library, the Russell Allard Farm, the brick, all these things. Chisenhall is a very nice baseball field. And, and all these things, and we've talked at length in this show about what they're going to do with that space once they, if it's approved, move the softball fields and stuff like that. I mean, we got, God willing, if I'm still around 20 years, I probably won't, I'll see all this hopefully coming around. But this is way off the topic. I read somewhere about what they're going to do by I-35 and how it connects to 174. That's going to be different.
I've seen those drawings.
Yes, and it's like an elevated road, right? Oh, my.
It's going to be intense.
Well, I hope what happens with this is not what happened in Wichita Falls. I know but when I was a little kid, we'd go to Oklahoma, we'd go through Wichita Falls, and the route would take right through downtown Wichita Falls. And then about 20 years ago, they put an overpass, and so you don't have to stop at all at any stoplights or whatever else. And it absolutely destroyed those businesses down in that area of Wichita Falls, that middle area.
Right.
And I would hate for that to happen to Burleson, but I don't know if we even have an option in that because it's all
there's
state
not much
roads
we can do about it.
Highways.
We don't have a a say in it. We'll just have to
we
innovate around it.
So, blaming city council or whatever would be completely useless.
Yeah, it would.
Because they don't have anything to say about it.
Nope.
So anyway, well, that's a lot going on. And then Victoria will be on Monday, and the topic of the conversation is, I believe it's House Bill 17 that came out of the state, but it basically was a power grab by the legislature, and it's going to affect a lot of the ways we do business in Burleson, and other communities. We're going to have a little less latitude about zoning, a little less latitude about other aspects and like taxation and things of that nature.
Yeah.
And so that's going to be
another thing. People want to, get upset about city council members, but they don't realize how much their hands are tied by state.
It's like the school board, the same thing. I mean, they go raise all sorts of cane at the school board. They're like, talk to Greg Abbott, go call your member of the House because we can't do anything about it. And I've talked about this in my Texas government class. That's one big change in Texas government in the last 2 decades is just how much the state has taken away from the local authorities in making decisions. School boards as well. They used to be the school, state of Texas in the 90s where we had the teats, you need to do this and that, and that's about it. And now about 40% of your budget is mandated. And same thing is going to happen here at Burleson city budget.
Yep.
So, and I'm going to ask Victoria how they plan to respond to that, if they can at all.
She'll have good answers. I don't.
She'll be prepared. She'll be prepared.
I do know there were a lot of bills that we were very thankful to see didn't make it out because there were some, limiting the lower end of like square footage for lots. That was one of them. So you could have any size lot and the city couldn't say no. Right. That's scary. That one didn't make it out.
And also, I've asked this before from council members about, one of the big problems with multifamily housing is not they're here today, but 10 years from now, they may not be in very good shape.
Right.
And I said, well, can't we do something about it? And they're limited in what they can do about it by the state.
Yeah.
So it isn't like they can mandate certain upkeeps very easily.
Yep.
And I think the people of Burleson, both for the schools and the cities, need to be better aware of how much is coming down from Austin or Washington, and they don't, and so their ire, if you will, is misplaced.
Well, and that's a big part of the reason that I do the group that I do is because when you're watching these meetings and you're getting all the details that city council gets, then when you see an announcement of something like months later, you're not flipping out because you saw all of the details. You know exactly why it went that way. You saw the discussion that city council tried to, they had your best interest at heart. They were doing everything they could. Or, and those are things that I know city council can sometimes get frustrated about because they want input. They want residents to know they're taking care of them. And really what happens is they make a decision and then 6 months later, everybody finds out about it and they're like, what? How did that? And it's like, if you would stay informed along the way, you would kind of see where your input is needed. And hey, it's time to speak up about this.
Well, that's why I really appreciate your Municipal Matters page because I was half joking when I said that's how I stay informed. Actually, that is how I stay informed because it's probably the one site that I can go to and see what's going on at the library, fire station, brick, et cetera. And I very much appreciate you doing that. And a lot of people appreciate you doing that for us because it's acting instead in a sense of like a local newspaper almost. Or whatnot.
Well, and I hope it just helps the community come together. And, when you share these events, you can kind of comment and say, I want to go to this, but who's going to be there? You can find a friend. And
are you connecting with Cody O'Brien and at Burleson Buzz?
Yeah, we've talked a little bit. And I wrote up a recap for him on the last one because he was kind of in a bind. So I wrote up a little recap.
You think you might be doing that on a semi-regular basis?
I like writing Facebook posts better than writing articles.
Well, he has a new one out. A new buzz came out yesterday,
he's doing a good job keeping up with everything that's going on, and he's got a good thing. So I try to remember to share them.
I'll share them to you. And when I get them, because I'm really excited what this young man's doing. So y'all check it out. If it's on Substack, and it's also the links on the Facebook pages. But anyway, we're going to do this again in about 3 or 4 months now, in the fall.
Yep.
And maybe
we'll have the budget approved.
And
then.
By then, you could show me Gage's Baylor acceptance.
Yes, okay. All right. We'll work on that.
You're worrying about him paying for that. I guarantee they're going to give him his own room and probably a chauffeur and a cook, all these. I'm telling you, there's everybody looks at the sports, the recruiting for athletes is the big deal. No, the intense, it's intense at the scholastic level. It doesn't make the paper. So
he made me laugh because he was like, okay, which AP test am I taking next year? Like because I got to make sure he got a 5 on the last one he took and he got a 5 on this one. He was like, so what can I make a 5 on next? I was like, oh my goodness.
If he could make it 5 on both government and economics, I'm not they're not because they're easier, but if he's making 5 on history, he'll be fine. But he could take more than 1.
I know that, but I don't think he knows that. The way he prepares, he only wants to do 1.
Well, all right, Taylor, you doing all right over there?
I'm doing good.
He fell asleep.
Right. He fell asleep. No.
I did not fall asleep.
Thursday, like I said, it was going to be with Jennifer Woods. But so y'all send her some condolences, either through social media or give her a call or a card or something. I don't know what her schedule is going to be, but she's going to be busy. So I'm going to be going over the primary, Republican and Democrat primary candidates on Thursday. And some commentary about Grandpa Joe. How many you know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm talking about?
No.
How many grandkids does Joe have? How many grandkids does Joe admit?
Ooh.
Yeah. So so we'll find all about that.
Fun.
Yeah. Well, I'll be venting my spleen over this primary.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, so thank y'all. Thank you, Sarah, for showing up and enlightening us. This be on podcast, so be on by this time tomorrow. I believe Alex's should be on or will be on.
Yep.
Pretty soon. All right. And we'll see y'all Thursday.